Hi guys, it's Beth here today, and I am going to use the Stampin' Die of the month along with a really pretty 6x6 pad that's from Scrapping for Less. It was Bloom Wildly. This was one of my favorite pads. I love the pretty pastels and the florals and the wood grains. So I'm going to use that along with the Sweet Critters to make a few cards with you today. I actually had a few of the stamped critters that I used from my Hop project, the scrapbook page, and they were peach, and I already had this on my desk to work on this month anyway, and the peach critters like match the peach really well. So I decided to go ahead and use those since I had them ready to go. And then I also stamped and cut out some sentiments as well as some of the little images from the set that can fit into the little critters' hands there. So I have my pieces already cut and ready to go, and we will make some cards. So for my first card, all of my cards are A2, so they're all 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And for this one, I chose kind of a wonky edged rectangle die. So 2 of the corners are rounded and 2 are not, and it is stitched. And this is an old Scrapping for Less die that I had. And I'm using the little envelope, and all I did on that one was color the little heart. But I'm going to slide it in underneath the little fox's hands there and glue it down. I think that is so cute that these dies are able to hold some little elements. I'm going to glue him or it onto the white rectangle, and then finish putting the rest of my card together. So I did 2 layers. I have a mat here that's 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and I went with kind of that plaid as the background. And then my next layer is 4 1/8 by 4 1/2. We'll just add that right on there, and keeping this fairly simple, but I realized I did want to back my sentiment on a color, and so I was looking at some of the scraps I had and realized I wanted more of a smaller detail if I could, so I went to the pad cover, and I'm just going to cut out one of those preview strips because it's the perfect size to use for the sentiment. So one great thing about this die set is that it does have the dies that cut out the sentiments as well. So that's how I got my warm hello cut down the first time, but I do want to back it, so this time I'm just fussy cutting around it as best I can. And I just wanted a hint of green showing behind it so that it'll stand out off of my white rectangle there. So now I'm going to put my rectangle down, and then I'm going to do my sentiment there at the bottom. And I had one peach polka dot heart left from my scrapbook page that I made earlier this week for the Hop, and I really wanted to try and use that. So you'll see me kind of move it around on the card. Get my sentiment down. And then here I am, and I decide I'm just going to throw that heart up on the top right hand side. And then card 1 is complete. So card 2, I ended up pulling a more of a solid pattern paper from my stash for my card mat, which is again 4 1/8 by 5 3/8, and then this time my wood grain paper there is 4 1/8 by 5, I believe, or just shy of 5, and then I just had a strip left, scrap left over, and so I threw it down kind of towards the bottom of the wood grain. And for this little sweet thing, I'm adding the gift because I'm going to use the happy birthday sentiment. And I'm wishing now that I had used I had colored them with something other than the peach because I didn't think about the fact that I'm putting them on the peach critters, but that's okay. So I pulled out a scrap of white that I want to put underneath that top half of my scalloped oval there, just so it will rest more evenly on my card. And then I will add that down, kind of towards the left side this time instead of in the middle. And then we'll add my card front to my card base. And then I'm just going to put the little HB2U kind of down there off to the right. And since it's going on a colored background, I don't have to worry about trying to matte that. And then I feel like it needs something up to, like up in that right corner. So I happen to have some vinyl circles on my desk from a previous project. And so I just decided to add those down. Kind of like enamel dots, but without the dimension. And card number 2 is done. So for my third and final card, I pulled out the brown wood grain, which is so pretty, and it's 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And then I just pulled out some strip scraps that I had and am putting them across the bottom. And then I have a rounded corner rectangle this time, also stitched, and pulling in a final critter, this time with a mug. And so instead of having her hold the mug in both hands, because the way it was going to hit, it was like she was like had her hand in the top of the mug or something. So I just decided to put one hand behind and one hand in front. So now it just looks like she's holding the mug with one hand. And I move it over to the right this time and using the warm hello sentiment again. And again, I decide I want to back that on a more solid color so it stands out a little bit more. So I go with that peach preview stripe this time. So for some reason, I didn't do quite as well fussy cutting around this one as I did on the first time, but it still works. So once I get this cut out, I am going to glue those 2 layers together. And I will kind of fix the top of the egg because it was driving me crazy. So I wanted to add another scrap paper layer behind my rectangle there at the top, just again to help it lay a little more level on the card. And then I can get all of that adhered down. I go to the right this time just to mix things up, I guess. And then we'll adhere all of this to the card front, or the card base. Add my little sentiment there on the left side. And then I decided I want to add a little bit of something again, so I just bring in the rest of those little vinyl circles that I had out from the last card. And now that one is done. So I had some scraps, some strips left, and so I decided to go ahead and add those to the inside of the cards while I'm here. So I do this all the time. 1, just to add a little bit of something extra on the inside of the cards, and then 2, it's a great way to use up scraps. And if you watch my channel, you know I am all about using up the scraps. But I have to do this last one, and that is it for my 3 cards. So here are my 3 cards. And I know Scrapping for Less no longer carries paper, but Teresa Russell, who owned Scrapping for Less, also now designs for Not Too Shabby as well. So I will link the Not Too Shabby shop down in the description box below so that you can see what papers are available through the Not Too Shabby shop that Teresa has designed, as well as find the Sweet Critters stamp set. and die. So hope you guys enjoy these projects. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you all have a very crafty day.